Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Pierre from SalomonFirearms Training, also Naga's Boston chapter president. I'm here to help you guys out. I'm starting a video web series where we're talking about gun ownership. So we're starting the process from someone who doesn't have a firearm and working their way all the way up into becoming a proficient shooter and hopefully an instructor where you're protecting and growing the Second Amendment. So the first part is you're sitting at home and you're watching the news and you think the world is going to shit and you want a gun permit. So depending on the state that you live in, you may or may not have to take a firearm safety class. So depending on your state rules, you're going to need to take training. So some states you just go and you pass a federal background check and that's all you need. Other states you actually have to do training. Regardless of whether your state has mandatory training or not, we highly recommend that you take a firearm safety course. Some states you take a 50 question exam and you pass it and then you're able to get a card where you can buy guns and ammo and you can keep it in your house or you can carry it depending on your rules. However, regardless of those rules, I highly recommend people start off with taking a firearm safety course. It's really important that you know the basic safety rules, you know how to operate the firearm, and you're able to be safe and proficient with it. So if you haven't taken a firearm safety course yet and you own a gun, then you should. YouTube and things like that, they are pretty helpful, but nothing beats actual professional training in a range and a controlled environment. Watching YouTube and things and stuff like that, you can gain knowledge, right? But there's three parts to firearm ownership. You have knowledge, skills, and attitude. All right. So you gotta have a safety-oriented mindset, so that way you think and make good decisions when it matters. So that's the first step you should take. Now, if you already have your gun and you're like, oh man, I'm not really good or I really don't feel comfortable, or you took a basic class that really didn't teach you that much, then you should be looking to get individual training. I know a lot of people right now, they're out to go buy guns and ammo and scopes and all that thing. But in reality, if you don't know how to use that equipment proficiently, you're really wasting your money. I see a lot of people, they have all the cool guns, all the attachments, they're tactical, right? They got all the John Wick stuff on. And then they go to the range and their freaking shot groups are garbage. You gotta have a decent shot group. You gotta know the rules to defending your home and things like that. So you gotta take a firearm safety course. Even if your state requires or don't require it, I recommend you take it. Now, after you've taken that basic class, I recommend you take a basic pistol course where you focus only on handguns. You gotta find a gun that fits you. We're gonna make a separate video about, what kind of gun you should buy and things like that. We'll make a totally different video. But the goal then should be taking a firearm safety course or some private lessons to really figure out what kind of gun is going to fit you and your needs. Depending on what you're looking to do with that firearm, that's going to dictate what kind of gun, what kind of caliber, manufacturer, all those things like that. Now, after you are able to pick a good gun for you and your needs, and you have a basic level of proficiency, meaning you're able to hit anything within 21 yards. So if you're hitting a target, standard size target, you should be able to hit it at not 15 yards. That's at 15 feet. My bad. 15 yards is really far for new shooters, but 15 feet, yeah, that's a room length distance. 21 feet, right? If you're using the tooler drill, there's all different magic numbers of where you should be proficient at. But usually the method that I use is room length distance, right? We want you to be able to protect yourself in the home and your family. And then you slowly branch out. So you gotta be proficient with that firearm, know how to use it, know how to operate it, could load your magazines, and do all the really basic things that you should be able to do as a gun owner. Now, once you've mastered that level of, quality of basic marksmanship and safety rules, then you got to learn when to use your firearm, okay? So every state has their own rules. So you probably heard of terms like castle doctrine, stand your ground laws, duty to retreat, all these things. You want to be able to know when is it appropriate for me to use justifiable deadly force, all right? Some states have stand your ground laws. Some states have a duty to retreat. Some states have castle doctrine, right? So wherever you live, right, has its own rules. When you have a gun permit, it is only good for that state that you're in. You can't take that firearm and ammunition and travel anywhere you want. Now, sometimes states will have agreements with one another. Usually states that border each other will have agreements. Hey, if you let my citizens bring my firearms into your state, I'll let your citizens bring their firearms into my state. The professional legal term for that is reciprocity. So reciprocity is when two states get in an agreement and they allow their citizens to travel back and forth. Now, you have to do your research, okay? You have to do your research to see what states allow you to have which firearms. Like, for example, I live here in Boston and Mass, and Massachusetts has a roster of approved firearms. Maybe your state does, maybe your state doesn't. You got to find out whether your state has a magazine ban, right? Does it ban certain magazines? Does it ban certain firearms? You know, is there an ammo capacity? So in Mass, we have a mag capacity of 10 rounds. So if you get caught with a brand new 17 round magazine, then you're going to be a felon. You're going to go to jail if you get pulled over for something simple. And next thing you know, you're being dragged out the car and your guns, ammo, whatever. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're crossing state lines and your gun is not legal, your type of ammunition is not legal. For example, New Jersey has a ban on hollow points. So if you bring hollow point ammunition, then you're going to become a criminal. So that's why it's very important when you're starting off the path of gun ownership, your focus should really be on understanding the rules, right? Understanding what are the safety rules do I have to follow? What are the gun storage and ammunition storage rules that I have to follow? Where can I bring my gun? Can I bring my gun in a state building, in a federal building? Can I bring my firearm into a school or a hospital or things like that? A lot of states have restrictions, and not even the state, even the city. So here in Mass, depending on what part you're in, the laws are drastically different as to where you can carry and things you can do and stuff like that. Boston is very restrictive. They'll give you restrictions on your license versus if you live in the suburbs, you'll get an unrestricted license. So these are the things that you have to research. And we're talking about the mindset, right? So you can be of the mindset of waiting for things to be handed to you, or you can have the mindset of, hey, I'm going to go do research. So instead of watching music videos and Netflix and Hulu and all these things, right, you need to do research on that. Go watch some YouTube videos. Go on your state website, right? So YouTube is not going to have everything. You got to go on www.mass.gov, click on the firearms section, click on the licensing, and read it. Now, you may not be able to understand everything. You may not have the whole process, but that's going to give you a groundwork. If you fall into these rabbit holes, you go to some of these Facebook gun groups, you go in and you click on it and, people are arguing and dropping memes and things like that. That may not be the best source of information for you, a bunch of random people who aren't professionals. That's why you gotta seek out the professionals that are in the industry so you can say, hey, I went on the state website, I read the laws, some of the things confused me, and I'm here to look for clarification. Right. So now you have a groundwork. Now you've had some basis to, move forward on. Or finding a lawyer that knows the gun laws. So 2A lawyers, looking into what kind of organizations that are out there. You have NRA, you have USCCA, you have NAGA, you have, all these bajillion different organizations. Go on their websites and get that knowledge. Too often do I run into people and they say, oh my God, I don't know how to apply for my gun license. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. If you go online and you dedicate a day, or maybe if you don't have a day, dedicate an hour a day, 2 hours a day, and just build your knowledge and information, Go to these different organizations, look at the information that they give you, compile that information, process that info, and then that way you can, be better informed. When we teach our classes and we do like, concealed carry outside the home, and you'll see somebody who shoots somebody over a bag of chips or something like that. And you're like, why did you do that? Right? That education portion is really just as important as, the gun in itself. So I wouldn't even buy a gun until I understand all the laws and things like that. So if you're new to, gun ownership, you just got a gun, and, or you don't have a gun and you're looking to get one, your main priority is training and education. That's what you need to do. You need to go out and shoot different guns. You need to feel, how does each gun feel in my hand, and then, and then you continue to progress. Okay, now you mastered the basics. Now you got to learn the legal laws of, where can I bring my gun, shoot, and things like that. So your main priority as a new gun owner is to educate and train yourself. Knowledge is power, right? Maybe you spend $100 on a class and you didn't really learn much, but at least you got one thing, right? If you're not learning something new every day, you're doing it wrong. Find a reputable gun shop or community or organize a club, whatever, and then train there. Now, obviously, if you guys need the training, we're always we're always able to come down to your state if you want us to do that. But you can also partner up with your local clubs, all right? So wherever you're at in the world, right, partner up with your local community to get the training. Now, if your local community don't have those resources, then, we Solomon Firearms Training would be happy to go out there, set up, and train you. But that's not sustainable, right? You can't depend on us for every single gun training or anything that you ever need. I mean, that's cool if you want to keep paying us. We'll keep flying out there. But the goal is for you to be independent and to be able to go to the range and practice and be confident in your ability to protect yourself and your family. So if you're just starting out in the gun industry, just focus on the education and training, being able to protect yourself. What are the equipment you need in your house to make sure that your house is safe? Because your house is where your family resides. So you gotta build up your house and protect it from people that do home invasions, robberies, theft. Once you protect your house and the people in it, you got all your gadgets, then you can start branching out and say, okay, I'm going to go and carry a gun outside. You shouldn't be concealed carrying outside if you don't feel comfortable shooting your gun, if you don't feel comfortable handling your firearm. We have people all the time come to our advanced classes and say, oh, I don't carry around in the chamber because I don't feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable carrying around in the chamber, then you shouldn't be carrying that gun. You need to invest in training, so you really gotta focus on education and training, and just mastering those basic fundamentals, and then you can branch out to, okay, I want to start carrying outside my house. Okay, I feel pretty comfortable. I want some advanced training, how to properly draw from the holster, how to, shoot behind high barricades, low barricades, and things like that. So a lot of times people will go and they'll do a sprint. They'll sprint to the finish line, and they'll have all the guns and all the equipment and all the tools, and they don't know how to use it. So you really want to focus on mastering your one firearm, your one pistol, your one rifle, your one shotgun. And then when you master that platform and you understand everything about it, then you branch out. You're like, okay, I got a pump action shotgun. I want to learn about the different types. So now you buy a different type. Instead of a pump, you get a break action shotgun. Or you're like, oh crap, I don't know anything about shotguns. I need to take a class. So you go take a shotgun class, a rifle class, a handgun class, whatever, right? You want to focus on that training before you run out and buy shit, because you end up buying things that you don't need because you don't know, right? You'll get the guy at the gun store who'll sell you a bullshit holster because you don't know any better. So take your time. Take your time, learn, so that way you could be safe and proficient. And if you're worried about the pandemic and the zombie apocalypse, you're too late, right? The day the zombie apocalypse hit is not the time to be getting a firearm and start prepping and trying to build a go kit and things like that. Like, you're too late to the game. So if you're worried about situations now, it's too late. So you got to be planning for the future, so that way you can handle, whatever threats that are coming up. The mind is the greatest weapon, all right? The firearm, the rifle, the handgun is just a tool. My mind is the weapon, and I implement the tools available to me, whether it is my hands, whether it is my knife, my pepper spray, all of those things. You gotta sharpen your mind and make your mind the greatest weapon. So sometimes people think that the gun is the end-all be-all. No, it is your brain, and you being able to pick and choose the appropriate action, the appropriate tools, depending on the context of your situation. So I hope that I gave some clarification on that, on what your focus should be, is to get training. If you want to know what kind of training is out there or what kind of training you should be looking for, go to www.SalomonFirearms.com and you can see all the different classes that we have available. Even if you're not in our region and you're not able to take our personal classes, at least you know what to look for. At least you know the categories of what kind of training. Some people didn't know that there's, self-defense insurance or how to properly draw from the holster. They don't know the training is out there. So if you want to know what kind of training you should be looking for and see if they provide that in your area, then, go ahead and go on our website and check it out. If you want us to come down and train you, then we will be more than happy to, to come down and provide any training that you need. We train young children, we train adults, we train security, police, military, all our qualifications are online, so you'll be able to take a look at that. But yeah, I wanted to make this video because a lot of people had questions as to how to get started and do things. And just go to your local resources, go on the website, start doing research. And then after that, after you have a good foundation of knowledge, then you can branch out and ask specific questions about, hey, I noticed that, I had to take a class and fill out this application. How do I answer this question on the application? Now you're not just starting blindly. Now you actually have a frame of reference to work off of. So that's the first of our video series. The next video we're going to be doing is how to pick the right handgun for you. And then we'll be going over those different options, okay? All right, thank you. Once again, it is Pierre from Solomon Firearms Training. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and give us a like, subscribe, follow, all the things that the YouTube people say. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, thank you. Bye.